What's up? Welcome back to my channel. Okay, so before I get started, I just want to say today's look and glam was brought to you by two lovely followers that I have. One on Instagram that felt it necessary to tell me that I look like a man. How dare you put a label on me? What if I'm identifying as something else? Like, what if I'm, neither man nor woman? Shame on you. The second one comes from another lovely subscriber of my YouTube channel who felt it necessary on another video of mine to say that I was doing too much with my makeup. Well, honey, when you tell me I'm doing too much, that means that I'm not doing enough. So I beat the face for you today. Anyways, I want to talk to you today about a very interesting video and case that was brought to my attention from somebody that follows me on Instagram. They sent me this video of a body cam from a police officer that was involving an incident with a man who was pulled over and ultimately shot the police. Okay. I watched the whole video and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a great example of something that I really want to point out, because oftentimes, you hear the police officers go after black men, they just want to shoot people. They give, white men too many chances. They handled this case this way and this case the other way. And I felt like this video was a really good example to show you guys of a few different things that I want to point out. Okay. I'm not going to show the entire video like I've often done, or like in pieces like I've often done on some of my other videos, only because YouTube tends to ding me if I do that. So I will put a link to the entire video in here, okay? But I'm only going to show a limited amount of very short video clips just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about so that you have a visual, because I know you guys love visuals. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about this situation. So this particular situation occurred on June 29th of this year, okay? It is involving David Ware, a 32-year-old white man from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, I think he's white. I mean, I just assume he's white. It didn't really say his race, which is another interesting point, because we just assume because his skin is not black that he's white. Okay, so he could be Hispanic, we don't know, okay? But it's involving David Ware and also an additional accomplice that comes later on in the video. But I'll show you that part, just so you can kind of see. You don't ever see the accomplice, but you do hear Mr. Ware make a phone call and ask this guy to come. So at 3 a.m. in the morning on June 29th, Mr. Ware was pulled over for a traffic violation and expired tags on his vehicle. Now, keep in mind, this was at 3 a.m. The traffic violation that he made happened to be made directly in front of a police officer. He actually cut a police officer off when he was making a very wide right-hand turn onto a road. So the police initially pulled him over for that. Now, it starts very per usual. Police officer comes up to the window. He explains to the guy, hey, do you know why I pulled you over? You did this illegal, maneuver with your car. And can I see your license, registration, and insurance? So initially, Mr. Ware seems pretty normal. I mean, obviously he is, I wouldn't say he's nervous, but, he's just kind of like, oh, I didn't even realize I did that. My tags are expired, but I just haven't gotten the new ones. And so the officer's like, okay, well, can you just give me the stuff that I asked you for, your license, registration, and insurance?
Yes, sir.
Hey, roll that window all the way down, man. The reason why I stopped you is because turned out right in front of me as I'm coming.
Yeah,
and on top of that, you have an expired tag. Yeah.
My tag's not expired. I just haven't got it tagged yet. I just bought the car.
Your paper tag's expired, man.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it had 2 months.
No.
Okay, well.
You got an ID on you?
Yes. I just jackpotted at the casino. I was excited. My house was like right here, man.
Got you. Well,
If
do
I
you
could
have
just-
your ID and your insurance?
I don't. This might be out of date, but I am up to date on my insurance. I just don't know.
Got you. What has your VIN on it? That title?
Huh?
Does that title have your VIN on it?
Yeah.
All right, let me get that too.
So Mr. Ware begins to look for his stuff, and the officer does have his flashlight in the passenger side of the vehicle so that he can clearly see what Mr. Ware is doing. And in fact, I think he actually has the door open at some point as well. So he has a pretty clear view of everything in the vehicle from that standpoint, from the passenger side standpoint, okay? Which is pretty typical. Police officers go to that side. So during the course of the interaction, the police officer is like, what's wrong? Can you not find your license? Can you not find this? He's having a hard time finding his documents, and he is still pretty compliant. So as a police officer, he's not worried necessarily that this guy's going to do something crazy, you know, but he is noticing that this guy obviously isn't prepared with the documents he needs. So eventually, Mr. Ware pulls out, I believe, an old insurance card, but states that his insurance is current, and gives him something, I think his license or something like that. So the officer takes the paperwork back to his patrol car. Again, this is all going very typical, okay? Runs the information and sees that the car's tags are expired. They are not, you know, current, like Mr. Ware stated. He is unable to verify his insurance. And at the next clip you see, or I'm not going to put the clip in here because that really doesn't matter, but the next scene you see, another officer arrives on scene. The other officer starts to tell him what's going on. And he says, I'm going to have to tow the car because of the expired tags. Simple enough. You have expired tags, your car gets towed, okay? So the officer exits his vehicle, walks now to the driver's side, okay? The second officer walks to the passenger side, which is, again, a very typical positioning for police officers. When there's two of them there, you have one watching the driver, kind of one watching from the other angle. And they tell him, hey man, we're gonna have to tow your vehicle. At that point, David starts to act a little bit erratic. He starts to, you know, question why. Why don't you just give me a ticket and let me go? Why don't you just, you know, give me a warning? You know, people are waiting for me at home. I just need to go. I just need to go. And he starts to do the quick, fast talking that we see in a lot of these videos where the interaction goes wrong, okay? So now the police officers are concerned. I mean, yeah, it sucks that you're about to get your car towed, but why are you continuing to not be compliant, okay?
Driving a car that's over 60 days due on the tag.
I'll get a tag.
You don't have insurance.
I do have insurance.
Where is it?
Man,
But,
y'all
man,
can look it up. Y'all can look it up.
we can't
Yeah,
if you haven't
no.
got a tag, but we need you to step out of the car.
Now.
You have two choices. You can step out of the car,
Or I can drag you out.
or we can tase you. Step out of the car
Man, y'all are
now.
fucking- this is my
Do you
right.
want to get tased?
Why are y'all doing this?
Because you're refusing to follow a lawful order. I need you to step out
It's
of the
not a
car.
lawful order.
It is a lawful order, and I will
It's not.
tase you if you do not get out of the car.
Man, this is
You
look,
have a choice. Get out of the
Please,
car under your
please,
own power,
please call
or
your
I will.
supervisor.
I am the supervisor.
Please
I'm
call-
a sergeant.
Hey, dude,
Please.
just step out of the car right now. Otherwise, you are getting tased.
So because he starts to act that way, the police now say, all right, you need to get out of your car, okay? Now, the reason why they do that is while they are trying to figure out the situation and listen to what this guy has to say, they're asking him to exit the vehicle so that they can talk to him safely, okay? Because it's not good for the person that they're speaking to be sitting in the vehicle, because it puts the officers at a disadvantage. He could drive off, he could grab something in his car. There could be a lot of things going on, okay? So they're asking him to come out of the vehicle, which is similar to what they did with George Floyd But George Floyd's reaction of kind of resisting happened a lot quicker in his situation than it did in this situation, okay? So I want to point that out because every situation is not a cookie cutter situation. You know, officers handle the person that they're stopping or the person that they're approaching based on a lot of different factors, okay? It's not all handled the same way. So this guy, David, is not wanting to listen. So very quickly it escalates, okay? And you see the officer say, if you don't get out of the car, I'm going to tase you, okay? And he still keeps going on and on and on, all these excuses. Again, similar to the George Floyd, where George Floyd is like, oh my gosh, my mom just died. I have claustrophobia. I'm nervous. I got shot. I don't want to get shot again. I don't want to get arrested again. You know, it's that, I always compare it to like when you have kids and you know the kids are in trouble and they're just like, oh, I didn't do it. He did, da 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 da. Sorry, there always seems to be a loud ass truck that comes by when I'm filming. Okay, he's gone. All right, so, you know, it's very similar to that where people start to like, you know, make all kinds of excuses basically to not get in trouble. So this is the part where when I was watching the video, in my mind, if I was in the officer's place, like you're giving way too many chances. You're giving way too many commands, okay? Now keep in mind, this guy is not getting physical with the police, okay? He does not have or seem to have a weapon in the car. His hands have stayed in the same place, okay? He's just being a pain in the ass about it, okay? Now, I want to stop right there before I keep continuing to tell you what goes on next. Just like I do in all my other videos, I want to bring up Mr. Ware's criminal history, okay? And keep in mind they are in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They look like they're in a small part of the town, so after seeing the press conference where the police kind of spoke on the situation, apparently these police were very familiar with Mr. Ware. When Mr. Ware was 18, he had already been in trouble with the law. He had been arrested for public intoxication. He had been arrested for spitting on a police officer multiple times, and he'd also been arrested for urinating in public. Now, from the age of 18 to 32, it doesn't seem that he had any like major infractions that had caused him to get arrested again. So this was, I guess, the very first major interaction that they had with Mr. Ware since, you know, the previous times that they had interactions with him. But again, it was nothing like a violent crime, you know, no abuse, no, you know, being caught with a weapon. So all of that, when a police officer sees that, they look at a person's history to see, okay, what have they done before? What are they capable of? Okay, so I want to bring that up as well, because when you talk about like George Floyd and you talk about Jacob Blake, both of them had violent criminal histories as well as abuse and drugs. But in their situation in the beginning, it became very combative up front, okay? But I do want to say, in my opinion, watching this video, and you let me know after you watch the video, but the police gave way too many chances for this guy to comply, okay? So, fast forward now, they have warned him several times, he needs to get out of the car, or they're gonna tase him. And they're actually like firing the taser to kind of give like a warning, but they're not like shooting him with it. To give him a warning to maybe see if that causes him to react differently, and it doesn't, okay? So you finally hear the officer, after 40 times of verbally warning him to get out of the car, he tases him, okay?
Just fucking
Get out of the car!
fuck you, dude. Oh! What the fuck?
Get out of the car!
No!
You want to get sprayed?
No.
Get out!
Okay.
Now!
I'm getting out.
Get out of the damn car! Now, or I will spray you!
Fucking ground.
On the
Why?
ground! On the ground!
Man, I don't want to go to jail, fuck.
Get out of the car! Get on the ground now! On the ground!
Look Please stop.
Now, I am always amazed, okay, at how functional some people still are when they get tased, okay? Now, there's a couple reasons for that. Sometimes when you're on some pretty strong drugs, you have superhuman power. So a thing like a taser is not going to affect you like it would if a regular person that wasn't on drugs were to get tased, okay? So that also, I think, is an indication to police officers what they're dealing with. When somebody gets tased and they're still able to move, or they're still able to talk, or they're still able to run away, just like in Jacob Blake's situation, you know, he got tased and got up and walked perfectly fine to his vehicle. So, you know, all those factors are very important to look at very clearly. So once they tase him, okay, he's like, okay, I'll get out. And they're like, cool, get out. Still, okay, he's only got half of his body out of the car, okay? So now the interaction turns physical and the police are starting to pull him out of the car. And again, because he seems to be on some type of substance, he has a lot of strength, so much so that these two officers are trying to, you know, get him away from the vehicle, out of the driver's seat, that they're having a really difficult time doing so. And I think after like the 40 verbal warnings, it totaled like 60 warnings in total when you include the physical efforts that they made to try to get this guy to comply and get out of the vehicle, okay? Here's the important part. And here's what I want to make a really big deal out of. As they are pulling Mr. Ware out of the vehicle, it is a very quick scene that I'm going to show you, kind of like a slow down or snapshot, image so you can see. But he reaches underneath his driver's seat, pulls out a weapon, and shoots Officer Johnson.
Get out of the car! That's not even in gear. David, you want to get sprayed then? I'm going to spray you again. Get out of the car! Get out! You got him. What the fuck?
In the middle of all of this, before the police came back after checking his documents, this kid got on the phone and he dialed his friend and he said, hey, Matt, his friend Matt, come down here. I need you to witness this. I'm being harassed by the police. Okay. The police said, get off your phone, stop calling people. If he comes down here, he's going to be in trouble too. I want to point that out as well, because the friend Matt is a very, very important piece of this. Okay. So while the struggle is going on, Matt actually arrives on scene, and Matt is actually there. Okay. When David reaches under his seat and pulls out a gun and shoots Officer Johnson fatally. Okay. He also shoots the secondary officer, which is Officer Zarkeshian. But he did not die from his wounds, but he was critically wounded in the situation. Okay. So before I go on from there, I want to stop, because what is very important to know about this situation is a lot of times people will say, why did the police take their guns out right away? Why did the police become so forceful with, their commands or with their physical restraints of the person that they were, dealing with? This is why, okay? A lot of times people will say, well, he wasn't being violent and he only had a knife and you could have done this and you could have done that. This is why officers sometimes shoot before, the regular person thinks that they should shoot, okay? Because you have a very small margin of an area to make a very critical decision if you feel like your life is in danger or somebody else's life is in danger. And in this case, I really believe these officers waited too long, okay, and gave this guy too many chances. But that's just my opinion, okay? But, you know, as a result, an officer died, another officer was wounded, and even after that happened, Mr. Ware and his accomplice, Matt, took off in Matt's vehicle and fled the scene. Now, it wasn't until several hours later that they were able to locate Mr. Ware at his residence. He surrendered to police, and he and Matt, his accomplice, were arrested, okay? And they were placed in jail, and they are still in jail awaiting trial, okay? But it is a very, very sad situation because an officer lost his life. And, you know, this situation happened in June, so not too long ago. And in between, you know, the George Floyds and the Jacob Blakes and the Breonna Taylors, you know, this case wasn't talked about at all. And I wonder if it's because David Ware was not Black. You know what I mean? I really feel like it's so unfair sometimes how we choose to look at things. You know, there's another situation that I really want to make a video on that happened in Dallas several years ago with a gentleman named Tony Timpa. And that situation was almost exactly like the George Floyd situation. Knee on the neck, you know. Let me know if you want me to do a video on that one, because that is a very, very interesting case, and there's a lot to unpack there, and I could talk about it for hours. But I want to know what you guys think. I want you to watch the video. I know that there's going to be a lot of people that say, oh, but see, because he was white, he got 40 warnings. No. See, your girl's not a fool, okay? I went back to the Jacob Blake. The Jacob Blake was a little bit difficult because we didn't see the video from a body cam perspective, but I went back to the George Floyd video, okay? George Floyd was given just as many warnings, if not more, because I lost count. And I had to watch a total of 3 videos to get kind of an accurate idea of how many warnings he really was given in different situations, because George Floyd from the beginning was combative with the police, okay? So you have to understand this guy wasn't combative from the beginning, okay? Also, the crime that he was committing was very different from George Floyd's crime. Now, granted, you may say, oh, but it was just a counterfeit bill and it wasn't really counterfeit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, okay? The other thing is that Jacob Blake, for instance, it was hard for me to go back and figure out how many warnings he was given. But again, you have to understand the whole premise for why the police were there to begin with. He was wanted, okay? He had an open warrant. They got a call from the person that he was supposed to be, you know, staying away from, stating that he showed up at her house at 6 a.m. and violated her, you know, sexually. You know, so that's a whole different situation. This guy had a violent past. He was violating, you know, his restraining order. They had an open warrant out for his arrest. So there was a whole, you know, different situation there, okay? And then Breonna Taylor is completely different because that's like a long drawn out case. You know, there was months and months and months of preparation, you know, to execute those warrants. Anyways, I'm not going to go into that because I feel like those are different things. In reality, they're all very different, and every case is very different, you know? So we have to really stop comparing all of these cases and all these situations, and we really have to stop looking at skin color, okay? Because the truth of the matter is we are only being shown the the African American interactions with police, not so much the, you know, Caucasian or any other race interactions with police, okay? So it's not even fair to make a statement when you're not really being shown all of the facts. Now, that's no excuse. You can do what I do, which is I actually follow, you know, a police cam website, and when you see the video that I link here, you can go and check out other videos that they have, and you can watch tons of different interactions with police that turn deadly or turn violent, you know, and they're involving all types of people in all ages, in all, you know, tax brackets, however you want to look at it, okay? But anyways, I could go on and on, but I really want to know what you guys think. Watch the video. Let me know. Do you think the police gave too many warnings? Do you think the police could have handled it differently? I mean, I definitely think David Ware, had he just been like, all right, I'm caught, I was driving with expired tags, I made a wrong move on the road, I might be a little bit drunk, I might be a little bit, you know, messed up on drugs, take my car, I'll deal with it later. You know, he wouldn't have been in as much trouble as he is now. But for whatever reason, he chose to act the way he did. And I'm putting money on the fact that it's because he was under some type of influence of some substance, whether it be alcohol or drugs, which that always seems to be the factor in a lot of these situations that, you know, go the way that they go because the person is not of right mind, right? So let me know what you think in the comments for the 10,000th time. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share the video and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will see you all next time with the next video. Bye-bye.